Hello everyone from Ukraine. My name is Andriy Drozdan. You're watching Channel 24, Ukrainian news channel. And our guest today is Özgür Unlühisarchikli. He is the Ankara office director of German Marshall Fund, which is a non-partisan policy organization committed to the idea that the United States and Europe are stronger together and should cooperate. Welcome, Mr. Unlühisarchikli, to our channel, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, good. So, what does it mean? The purpose of work of your organization, non-partisan policy organization, which is committed to the idea that United States and Europe are stronger together. How should it work?
Well, our organization promotes cooperation between United States and Europe. We do so through policy analysis and research. We do so through convening. We do so through supporting civil society and upcoming leaders.
Okay. So our president, Ukrainian President Zelensky, often uses this phrase, this term, Marshall Plan for Ukraine. How relevant, how appropriate is it to use this kind of term related to the restoration of Ukraine after war, and what Ukraine and Western countries should do to embody this plan, to make it turn it into reality?
Well, I think it's a very relevant historical metaphor because when the United States developed the Marshall Plan, it was based actually on two perceptions. One, that at that point Europe needed United States help, but the second perception was that the United States could not develop to its full potential unless it also helped Europe develop. So as a matter of fact, today Ukraine may need help of the transatlantic community, but I think Europe and the United States also understand that a developed Ukraine that is secure, stable, and has welfare is also important for the development of the United States and Europe.
Okay, so the other part of this Marshall Plan in history was Germany. Now Germany is the economical engine of Europe. The government of Germany is often criticized in Ukraine for the lack of military aid and help, like weaponry and so on for Ukraine. But Germany also insists that they are helping in economical way. They are just pushing financial aid for the Ukrainian government and for the Ukrainian budget. What should be the German role or other strong economical countries of Europe after the end of war in Ukraine? How should they help? Which would be the better way to help Ukraine after Russia would be defeated in this war?
Well, first of all, no one was really prepared for this. We should, of course, also be self-critical. We should have been prepared because what Russia is doing now was actually apparent for a couple of years. But nevertheless, we were not prepared. Nobody was prepared. Germany wasn't prepared either. But as you know, Germany saw this as a Zeitenwende, and they are actually trying to adapt. And we should, of course, we could always see the glass half empty, but I think we should see the glass half full here. As a matter of fact, more than half full, because Germany is actually doing a lot, including militarily, and I'm sure that Germany can do a lot more after peace arrives in Ukraine. Germany can do a lot more in terms of rebuilding of Ukraine. I guess that will be the main role of Germany.
Good. And what is the role of Turkey, of your native country, actually? Because Recep Tayyip Erdogan, he does a lot as a middleman in negotiations between Ukraine and Russia. He tries to do anything he can, and any possible things that he can to provide constructive results, some results in these negotiations. Would Turkey be interested in economic aid for Ukraine in future, in the end of this war, after the end of this war?
Yes, I mean, let me respond to the last question first, and then I will say other things.
Yeah, sure.
First of all, today's Turkey is in no situation to help others economically. On the contrary, Turkey is having a very challenging time regarding its economy. And therefore, I think that Turkey cannot even consider helping Ukraine substantially in terms of financial help. But I mean, of course, talking of Turkey's role, I need to say that Turkey has this peculiar position in this war of being pro-Ukraine without being overtly anti-Russia. This is what is generally called Turkey's balancing act. On the one hand, all official statements coming from Ankara have been critical of Russia and pro-Ukraine. Turkey continues to deliver Bayraktar drones to Ukraine. 2 weeks ago, Turkey delivered a Corvette to Ukraine. These are, of course, commercial transactions, but normally if Turkey was not supporting Ukraine, it could have postponed the delivery of these until the end of the conflict. But Turkey did not do so. Also, Turkey is blocking of the Turkish Straits at a very critical time is also important because Turkey actually blocked the Bosphorus based on its rights deriving from the Montreux Treaty, but per request from Ukraine at a time when Russia was preparing to bring 4 new ships into the Black Sea from Syria, and these 4 ships would be flow personnel. So I think that militarily Turkey has already proven that it is supporting Ukraine. Then there are things that Turkey is not doing, basically because of its own economic situation. Turkey has not joined the sanctions against Russia. Turkey's assessment was that it could not itself afford to join those sanctions. And as a matter of fact, as a general principle, Turkey, it can be said, is allergic to sanctions. Turkey also has not cut its diplomatic ties with Russia either. As you have stated, instead, as a matter of fact, Turkey is trying to act as a facilitator and in some cases as a mediator. And I believe that Ankara has already 2 success stories regarding its mediation efforts, the grain corridor and the prisoners of war exchange. So this is the role that Ankara sees for itself during the war currently. Now, after the war, I don't know if the Turkish economy will be in a position in which Turkey can contribute to the rebuilding of Ukraine substantially, financially, but I'm sure that Turkish companies will be interested in taking part in these efforts.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I'm talking about this economic cooperation, not about funding Ukrainian, paying giving some money for nothing to Ukrainian economy, but for beneficial cooperation between 2 countries. We are neighbors across the sea, so it's very natural to cooperate in an economical way. So you mentioned this deblocation of Ukrainian ports, this grain agreement, which would not be possible without the role of Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Turkey's role. How was it possible actually to end this blockade of Ukrainian ports and start this exports of Ukrainian grain, wheat and other agricultural products? What reasons, actually, arguments from your point of view worked for Putin in that case?
Yes. So before responding to this question, I understand that I misunderstood your earlier question about Turkey and Ukraine cooperating economically. By all means, I can say that Turkey perceives Ukraine as a long-term strategic partner, including in the areas of economic and industrial cooperation. And industrial cooperation also includes defense industry. So today we're talking about Turkey delivering Bayraktar drones to Ukraine, but soon we'll be talking about Turkey and Ukraine co-producing those drones and new models. So I think in the future there will be a bright period of Turkish-Ukrainian industrial cooperation, including in the area of defense industry. Now, if we want to talk about the grain corridor, it was basically in everybody's interest. So Ukraine had an interest in this because it had grain that it needed to export or it would spoil. Russia had an interest in this because Russia was being kept accountable for the increasing food prices globally, but particularly in the global south, which Russia wants to reach out to diplomatically. Turkey had a stake in this because Turkey basically wanted a success story for its mediation efforts. The United Nations also needed this as an institution because I think the UN also needed a success story. So all in all, I think we have seen that even in the middle of war, even during war, if there are issues where all concerned parties have mutual interests, such islands of cooperation will be possible.
Okay, got it. Just today, we are observing this Asian summit in Kazakhstan, in Astana, and some new appointments, some new meetings between Putin and Erdogan are announced there. Should we expect something significant from this meeting, from this appointment?
Well, as you know, they have been meeting on a monthly basis in person. This is mainly because, as a matter of fact, both leaders now have difficulty engaging, let's say, other world leaders. So Erdogan has been waiting for an appointment, for a meeting with Biden for a long time. European leaders are not also, very much interested in meeting him bilaterally. But Putin is, of course, in a more difficult situation. He is entirely isolated. So as a matter of fact, meetings between Putin and Erdogan are, I guess, the highest level meetings either president can have. But also there are ongoing issues between Turkey and Russia on many fronts. Ongoing energy cooperation, issues in Syria, in Libya, and then financial transactions. As you know, Russia is building a nuclear plant in Turkey. Then, of course, there is the issue of, although we don't know full details, the two leaders need to talk about how they will govern their economic relations and trade relations when Russia is sanctioned. So there are many issues to be discussed. And I guess that at this meeting, Syria may be at the top of the agenda because Russia wants Turkey to make a separate with Syria as soon as possible, actually. So I believe that will be on the agenda as well.
Okay, you already have mentioned the economic ties between Russia and Turkey and economic reasons why Turkey doesn't join any sanctions against Russia. But if we have to choose the word term to describe relationships between Turkey and Russia, what word would it be? A friend, an enemy, a foe, a partner? I don't know, any other word?
We usually say the nature of Turkish-Russian relationship is competitive cooperation. So the two countries have competitive cooperation. So the two countries historically have managed to compartmentalize their relations. On the one hand, the two countries are, without doubt, competing geopolitically, but then they can also cooperate economically. Even during the Cold War, when Turkey was a member of NATO and Soviet Union leader of the Eastern Bloc, so they were actually geopolitical rivals. There was actually economic cooperation with the Soviet Union, as a matter of fact, building Turkey's heavy industrial outlets. So on the one hand, that they are in geopolitical competition and sometimes rivalry doesn't mean that they cannot cooperate economically. But on the other hand, that they are cooperating economically doesn't mean that they look eye to eye on geopolitical issues.
And on what field this competition could be viewed, could be observed? Is it a political competitions about the influence in some regions of Asia? I don't know, Caucasian region, Syria, Black Sea region, any others? On what fields could we see this competition between?
Well, I mean, it's actually in many areas. On the one hand, of course, They have geopolitical competition in Syria, and it can be said they are supporting rival powers. Russia is, of course, the Syrian regime's main guarantor and benefactor. On the other hand, Turkey is one of the main supporters of the Syrian opposition. So we can say that Turkey and Syria are in a proxy war in Syria. As a matter of fact, 2 years ago, during the second Idlib war, Russian airplanes struck at a Turkish military unit, and at least 25 Turkish soldiers were directly killed by Russian airstrikes. In Libya, the Russian-supported General Haftar was about to occupy the capital of the internationally recognized Libya, and right at that point, Turkey entered the equilibrium, first contained the advance of the Haftar forces, Russia's proxy there, and then rolled back the Haftar forces so that it protected the internationally recognized government of Libya. So we can also say that Turkey and Russia are in a proxy war in Libya as well. Well, in the South Caucasus, as you know, there is a war ongoing between Azerbaijan and Armenia, which I hope will end very soon with a lasting peace deal between the two nations. But in that conflict, Turkey and Russia are again supporting warring parties. Turkey is supporting Azerbaijan, and the Republic of Armenia is a treaty ally of Russia. Now, in Central Asia, it is a little bit more complicated because neither Turkey nor Russia can really compete with the Chinese economic influence. But of course, both of them are competing for political influence in Central Asia as well. Then, of course, they're also competing in the Balkans for political influence. And it can, although nowadays Turkey has good relations with Serbia as well, we can also say that while Turkey is influencing Muslim communities in the Western Balkans, Russia is influencing Eastern Orthodox communities. So as you can see, I mean, there is 360 degrees Turkey-Russia competition, and also Turkey is 360 degrees surrounded by Russia. As a matter of fact, Russian air defense systems based in Crimea, in Armenia, and in Syria cover like 80-85% of Turkish airspace. So Russia for Turkey is no longer just a northern neighbor, but it's also a southern neighbor, an eastern neighbor, a western neighbor. Turkey is surrounded by Russia.
Got it. The United Nations General Assembly has just passed a resolution by large majority calling on countries not to recognize the 4 regions of Ukraine, which Russia has claimed following so-called referendums. And we now see the results. More than 140 member states of United Nations were in favor of Ukraine. 5 voted against, and 35 they just abstaining. They just stayed aside from this voting. Most of them were African nations, and on the long side was also China and India. What does it mean actually for geopolitical situation, this balance of voting? Is it significant? Is it important to pay attention to such kind of votings in the United Nations Assembly?
It is significant, but we should also recognize the limits of its significance. First of all, we can see that the global community, the international community, to a large extent, does not accept Russia's lawful acts. They condemn these unlawful acts. I'm sorry, I apologize. And they condemn Russia's unlawful acts with very strong statements. So this is on the one hand. On the other hand, Russia is not entirely isolated. I think that the supports from India and China, considering the size of their economies and populations and their impact in international affairs, is significant and is crucial for Russia to avoid total isolation. And so long as China and India continue to support Russia, and in addition, of course, some other oil-producing countries, OPEC countries, I think that Russia will not be entirely isolated. Now, one development that could change this is, God forbid, if Russia decided to use nuclear weapons, if Russia decided to nuclearize the conflict, I think that it would become a pariah state immediately. I think even then China and India cannot stand on its side.
Got it. So, probably for the last question, I would just ask you to give to share your feelings, thoughts, give some forecasts about this stage of war where we are standing right now, how this war would end in a military way, and what economic consequences would it bring to the world. Of course, if we are looking at the situation at this moment, we don't know the future, how would it go till the end of the year, but what we can say right now.
I can say this: I would consider it on my side, for myself, not responsible to predict how the war may end. At the end of the day, this war is being conducted by brave Ukrainians. Ukraine is carrying all the burden. It's Ukrainian lives, including that of civilians, and Ukraine's existence as an independent nation that is at stake. I think that Ukraine should have all the agency. Ukraine should decide how to proceed with this war. Ukraine may decide to continue the war. Ukraine may decide to make peace at certain terms. And as the Western world, we should stand by Ukraine and support Ukraine's decision, whatever that may be.
Mr. Unlühisarchikli, thank you so much for this conversation. It was tremendous experience for me. It was a great dialogue, and we would like to see you once again any day soon on our channel. You are always welcomed. Thank you so much once more.
Thank you very much, and I wish all the best to you and the Ukrainian people.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you, our dear audience, for watching. You were watching Channel 24 from Ukraine, and we would like to see you very soon with our new guest.